Well, welcome everyone, and we're into week 3 of our relaunched mobile learning special interest group for ASCILITE. So welcome to our illustrious panel of people that have joined us this morning to share their ideas and brilliance with us, which is awesome. And welcome to anyone who's perhaps watching this either live or from the archive, and hope that you get something out of it. So today we're just going to go through a series of hopefully helpful pragmatic tips on what to do for mobile learning. And so each one's just going to share a little bit of a quick mobile tip. So I guess I might as well go first, seeing as I have the floor, and I just want to quickly screen share. And where are we? Got so many windows open. Okay, we'll share this one. Yeah, so what I wanted to share just very briefly was some of the Adobe mobile apps, which if you haven't seen them, they're actually fantastic. What Adobe has done, really, and they made them pretty cross-platform, although there are still more that work with iOS than with Android. I think it's just easier for them to code them for the more controlled platform than the wild west of Android. But what Adobe basically have done is taken all their core content creation editing tools and then chop them up into little tasks. So each app basically does one function and does it really well, but you can do it as an app on your mobile device, either on your tablet or on your smartphone. And they also link to Adobe Creative Cloud. So content that you start creating with your Adobe apps on your mobile device, you can then save on Adobe Creative Cloud, then keep working on it on your desktop or laptop if you like. So I'll paste the link into the chat, but basically if you just do a search for Adobe mobile apps, it comes up as part of Creative Cloud, and there's the link at the top there. So yeah, all their basic high-end tools, they've kind of basically chopped them up into little mobile apps, and these are great. They're really easy to use. There's video editing, Adobe Spark, which is fantastic for presentations, and then if you're more into design, things like Adobe Photoshop Sketch to do some really cool sort of sketch type effects on photos and stuff really quickly. I use Adobe Fresco quite a lot for doing drawings, and particularly on the iPad with the Apple Pencil, and then I can import them into freehand on my laptop and make them look really, really cool. So that's my quick tip, is the Adobe mobile apps. If you haven't tried those, they're free. Of course, they do obviously try to bring you into the Adobe system, and what they're really trying to do is sell you the Adobe Creative Cloud license out of it. But those are great free mobile content creation apps. So let me stop screen sharing. And I think first on my screen, so first up we have Neil.
Hello everybody. I mentioned before that I'm an English teacher, so I have to try to encourage my students to speak. So what I've been using for the first time recently is Flipgrid. I don't know if many of you have used that before. I'll just show you what it looks like. So I took some screenshots of my Flipgrid. So it's a Microsoft app, and my school has Office 365, and it's part of that package. And so what you do is just share a link with the students, and they get this big green button on the left-hand side on their phones. And if you can see down the right-hand side is my video. So they can, which I've made just to introduce myself. So they can click on my video and listen to me. And then they click on that green button, and they can add their own video. It just instantly comes up, and they can practice, and then record their own talk. So you can see there's about 8 students here. I've covered them up, so just in case. And they talk for, you know, a minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. You can set the time for it, and on whatever the topic is. And then a very nice feature is that if they can listen to each other, and then if they want to, they can reply by video to each other. And the teacher can, this is my sort of, just a screenshot of the teacher's grid. They're called grids, Flipgrids. And so I've got 4 classes there, and you can see the title of the class and the topic and how many views have taken place. And then the teacher can give feedback on each video. You can do it by your own video. You can make another video, or you can do whoops, lost you. Let me go to the last. So if you can see that there's a student video on the left side there, and there is a space to give feedback, written feedback if you want to. And there's a little automatic rubric that you don't have to use, and it's you can make it as sophisticated as you want. The default is 2 columns, ideas and performance, and then marks at 5, and then some comments. So so that's Flipgrid. So it's very easy for the students to use. They don't need a laptop. They can just use their phone, which is most of my students have both. But if you're in a situation where they don't have that, it's really good for smartphone use. And at the moment, students a lot of them are on their own, and so they really like. Maybe normally they wouldn't spend a lot of time watching each other's videos, but at the moment they really seem to be having a lot of views of each other's videos and commenting on them.
Cool. So that's creating that social presence, isn't it? And I've got a couple of questions for you, Neil. So is there a practical limit to the number of streams or videos that the platform can handle?
If you have an educational account, which I do, I don't think there is a limit. No. If you have a sort of private account, I would imagine there is some kind of limit.
Right.
Yes.
So it's part of the Office 365. So if you ever sign in for Office 365, it's just one of the tools.
Or I think if it may not appear on their list of apps on Office 365, but if your school does just join that system, and then you enter with a university email address, then I think you automatically become part of the educator system. But there is also, when you sign up, it says, are you an educator? So maybe even if your school is not part of that sort of community, maybe you can join it anyway. I don't know, because it just sort of automatically appeared for my school.
Yeah, and often these companies are quite generous as far as education goes. Yeah. Cool. Thank you, Neil. And I think next on my screen, and the hotspot is Lisa.
Okay, so you kind of stole my thunder a little bit at the beginning, Tom. Because
sorry, Lisa.
No, it's not you, Neil. Tom. Because I've been using Adobe Spark, playing around with Adobe Spark, which is a fairly easy program to use. I got shown it in about 10 minutes flat and managed to work my way around it, which is kind of good for me. And then I had to introduced it to a couple of paramedic lecturers to say, here's a different way of presenting things that students can have access to on a mobile phone. Very easy to use, and they picked it up within 5-10 minutes as well. So I'm actually quite liking Spark. I'm actually going to be doing some more kind of investigating in there. And I also had a quick look during the week of Google Meet. It was Google Meet. I'll be right, Tom?
Yeah, it's what they now
replacement for Hangouts.
Yeah.
So I'm going to test that kind of over the weekend, and I've got a daughter who's at university, so I'm going to get her to have a little go with it as well and just see what she thinks. But definitely Adobe Spark. I love Adobe Spark.
Cool.
My my new play tool.
Yeah, it's just really quite visual, and it has limits on what you can do, but I think that's good as well. So you can't be, go crazy with doing embedding a whole lot of stuff. But what it does do, it does really well.
Yeah.
And next
and
on,
I'm happy to share. Sorry, happy to share my initial project with anyone if they would want to have a look at it.
great, be cool. Yeah. Post it on the community forum or something. That'd be awesome. Ben.
So hello everyone. Well, I'm using Zoom with my students. Just one problem that we face is when we want to use the breakout rooms for activities. Those who use mobile cannot use it properly, or when we share something on chat, they cannot easily go to chat and just watch the videos. I just wonder if you have faced the same problem or issue like that, and if you could just have some suggestions for me.
Yeah, I haven't been a big user of the breakout rooms. So normally, when I'm doing something live like that, I'll get students to do activities, but they're usually outside of Zoom or the video conferencing tool, and then maybe we're using a poll or a survey, but that's using SurveyMonkey or Poll Everywhere, or if they're sharing stuff, it's via an external shared folder. Yeah, so I'm not sure, Ben. I haven't really used breakout rooms a whole lot. Neil.
Yeah, right.
I've used breakout rooms with smartphones, and I think you can join Zoom just using a browser. But if your students download the app onto their phone, I think they should be able to use the breakout function.
You're right. Okay. Thank you.
Maybe
because
point them towards the app then, Ben.
Yeah, right. That's a good idea. Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So next on my screen, I've got Paul.
All right. So I've had a bit of a hiatus from the mobile learning space. So I just thought I'd have a different tack and just show you some historical stuff. So this is from, can you see this?
Yeah.
So this is from 2012. And basically what we were doing at La Trobe, we were looking at, so that's an iPad 2. So we were looking at how to facilitate early engagement at the university, and we developed so this is the students, facilitated by myself and a couple of academics. A mobile learning app, basically using location, GPS, compass, basically developing. I could probably just run it quickly. Can you see this or not?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, looking at specific points in the campus where the students would. So it's a little dated, as you can see, but it's from 2012. That student developed, where students would actually be pointed to a place. They'd go there. They'd find a QR code. They'd scan it. It would give them a task to do, and the pointer would indicate where they go to find an activity. The current position would indicate where they actually are. The yellow line would basically indicate the direction they're required to follow. They'd find a QR code. When they find the QR code, they scan it using the scanner button. And for example, this is a statue of La Trobe standing on his head. So the code would invoke a question, a video or an audio. They'd be asked something about it. So what was the artist who created this statue trying to call into question? They'd be given a couple of responses. Students would respond, and then they'd move on to the next task. And it was originally designed for O Week, but it's currently being used by future students to show kids who are interested in coming along to the university. The wildlife park also had an interest in using it for a version, and it had a bit of a write-up in the paper about it. But there's another one, but I'll save that for another time.
Okay, cool. So is that publicly available app or platform?
No, it was a university-based one. There is one now. It's called Goose something or other. Goose Chase, Goose Hunt, which is sort of a similar app, which is actually a commercial app that's been developed since this one. This wasn't commercialized at all. It was just specifically for La Trobe.
Right. It seems quite similar to the stuff that Roger Edmonds has done at Adelaide.
Oh, okay.
I can't remember the name of the app that he's developed or they use. But yeah, that sort of whole sort of gamifying learning and field trip type treasure hunt just really makes sense with mobile devices. That's what they're good at, particularly with GPS and, sort of geocaching type of projects.
Yeah, it was exciting times back then. All these things to play with.
Yeah. Hey, so next on my screen, we have Tom Worthington.
Right, well, I'll turn on the sound. I was going to show you the tool I use for making short videos, but as these things happen, it is refusing to work for me at the moment. So I guess I could just talk about it. What I've been doing is making short videos of 1 or 2 minutes for the students. And rather than sit there and try and record myself talking without umming and ahhing, I've been using a tool where I take the text I've prepared, paste it into the tool. It then turns that into a video. And then I will change the images it's selected and video clip slightly, maybe correct the wording a bit, and then just put it out there. The idea is this is particularly for people who are reluctant to record themselves. So what you end up with essentially is a audio slideshow. And that's worked, I think, reasonably well in that you can just quickly do it. In fact, sometimes I will prepare a video and not watch it before I send it out. So I prepare the text, put it in the tool, see that it's starting all right, send it out to people. And this particularly suits when they're looking at it on a smartphone. It doesn't use much bandwidth because most of the ones I have still images. And it's just something to help with students not having to read so much text, particularly when they're on a mobile device. The tool I'm using is called Content Samurai. It's not free, and one of the downsides is it seems to be used by a lot of people trying to sell rather dubious sounding products. I'm trying to find a free open source alternative at the moment. I might get the students to help build it, some of the comp sci students. But that was about all. My only other tip is, if you have students using mobile video, please tell them to sit their phone on something. Don't hold it in their hands, and you get that sort of seasick video effect. There's a few other things like that. Please turn on the option where people can phone in if they're having trouble with their mobile devices, and they can simply then just phone a toll-free number. They don't get the images, but they can still get the audio and still feel part of what's going on. That was about all.
Yeah, good tips. And that just kind of reminded me also, Tom, David, who hasn't joined us today, but he does a lot of mobile videoing, and what a tool that he often uses, which significantly enhances the video, is a gimbal. So a little handheld gimbal that you then clip your mobile phone into, and it basically stabilizes the movement. So you can, you know, instead of having to post-production stabilize wobbly mobile videos, you do it with the actual gimbal, and they come at a variety of costs. I think they start around $200 or so. But if you're doing a lot of mobile video, that's quite a good investment, little tool. So James,
you can also use a brick and a bit of elastic.
yeah.
But
yeah, it's just if you're actually moving with it, then having the actual gimbal is a really good tool, rather than just having it static on a desk somewhere.
No, I mean, you actually. I'll show you an example next time of the brick and elastic.
Okay. So it's a new technique I haven't learned. Sounds good. Okay, so James.
All right, so you can hear me, guys? All good?
Yes.
Yep. I was just going to say the rocky old camera one is one that I had to endure with the student video presentations at the end of last trimester. And the other one is when people have a desk that has a bit of movement in it and they've got their webcam or their laptop on there and they're pushing down and it's rocking like this and it almost makes you want to vomit while you're watching it. So that's a really good tip. I like that one. I'm going to share that right at the top of my video production assessment that's coming in next semester. Which is make sure you have a stable environment to record your videos. All right, so I was just having a bit of a play around thinking of something that I could show that would be useful. So I thought I would share this screen. So can everyone see Unity up now? Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So very quickly, people always wonder how on earth do I create augmented reality and get things going very quickly with students. Well, Unity 3D, it's a free platform to work with, especially under educational approaches. And inside of Unity, there's a lot of packages that one can use by default. You can see down the bottom here the sheer volume of XR or mixed reality platforms that are available with Unity. One that I really like to use is Vuforia. Vuforia I've been working with now for about 7 years. And essentially getting someone to produce an augmented reality visualization is as simple as a couple of steps. So the first one is installing the plugin. Usually takes
are these free, James, the plugin?
Yep, all free, all free. So we're just importing the plugin now. This is where I should have created it earlier, but I wanted to authentically show you how long it takes to do things. All right, so that plugin is now installed. Now we've got the plugin installed into Unity. We simply just come into our game objects. We go to the Vuforia engine, and we can see here a number of components that we can install. If we want the user to simply use their webcam, then we can install, and we would anyway, an augmented reality camera. And we can see that an augmented reality camera has been added to our scene. We always delete our main camera from the scene because we don't want to have two cameras being shown to the user. Inside of the augmented reality camera, we can go into the settings and we can select the camera device. So in this case, I can say I want to show my webcam. Now I've got two webcams on my computer, one which is the one that I'm using up here, which is my Logitech, and the other one which is the integrated webcam into the laptop computer that I'm using. So the students, if they're participating in Zoom, they're going to have access to any of the online video conferencing approaches. They're going to have access to a webcam. So you can simply get them to use their webcam here. And then we just come into the objects. And there's a lot of different types of objects. The most simplest is an image target, which allows them to present an augmented reality object onto an image. If they're using a mobile phone, and this is the tricks that we see now where we've got ground plane analysis, where it will be able to put a 3D object onto the ground in front of us or in the midair, or we can even do tricky things like using 3D scans of 3D objects and have it augment these things. So all of that mystery behind how do people construct these types of AR situations, all of it is done for you using some of these tools. So in the simplest form, we insert an image into our system, which creates an image target. So this essentially recognizes an image, and by default, it's this wonderful looking astronaut character in the scene. Let me see if I can find it. Go to it. So that's essentially what the little astronaut looks like. And you can get them to upload different image targets to a database on the Vuforia developer site, again, all free. And then to display that particular image target on our camera, we simply just press play. It will then activate my camera, although my camera is currently in use for this Zoom session. And then if I present that image target, it will essentially present anything that is childed to that image target. So if I say create a cube and then put that cube as a child of that image target, then when that image target is recognized by the web camera, it will present that particular object as a augmented reality object to that particular camera. And then everything in Unity is an object. So I can present script, I can present games, I can present anything I want to that image target based on it simply recognizing it as an event, a trigger to present that object. So there's my little 2-minute tip on how to explore augmented reality. And to get that app working on an Android device or iOS device, it would simply be going into the build settings and selecting what platform you wish for that to be presented to. It is that simple. Right, thanks everyone.
Okay, yeah, that's probably a tip for more of the computer nuts, but anyway, very good, James. I guess I'd probably be more at the stage of just getting my students to use Minecraft and giving them a task to do with, with something like Minecraft, but or SeekBeak. Hey, thanks to our illustrious panel today. We've come to the end of our 2-minute tip session for today. We've got obviously a few more up our sleeve for next week. Vic will probably be first up because he's put his hand up to do something for next week. So thank you very much.
He was last on. He can be first on next week.
Yeah, sounds good. Hope everyone has a good weekend and a good week. And we'll catch you all again next week, next Friday, same time, same bat channel. Thank you, everyone.
Good to see everybody.
Tom. Thanks, everybody.
See you, everyone.
See you guys.
Bye.